Imagine you are locked in a room roughly the size of your bathroom. You have no internet, no smartphone, no bank account access, and every single move you make is watched by armed guards and high-definition cameras behind thick glass. Most people would think that's the end of their professional life. But for a certain group of resourceful individuals, that tiny concrete cell isn't just a place of punishment. It is the headquarters of a thriving, multi-million-dollar business empire. We are talking about the underground economy of the prison system, a world where a single pouch of mackerel can be worth more than a $20 bill, and where a smuggled smartphone is the most powerful CEO tool on the planet. Today, we are diving deep into the clandestine world of inmate-run businesses, exploring the incredible ingenuity, the complex logistics, and the high-stakes supply chains that keep the prison economy humming behind the wire. To understand how these businesses operate, you first have to understand the currency. In the outside world, we use digital transfers and paper money. Inside, cash is contraband. It's a one-way ticket to solitary confinement, so inmates have created their own gold standard. For decades, that standard was cigarettes. But after smoking bans swept through correctional facilities in the early 2000s, the economy needed a new backbone. Enter the Mackey in many state and federal facilities. Pouches of preserved mackerel from the commissary became the primary medium of exchange. They have a fixed price at the store, they don't spoil, and everyone wants them. If you want a haircut, it might cost you 2 max. If you want someone to do your laundry, that's another 3 max. It is a stable, commodity-backed market that functions exactly like the New York Stock Exchange, just with more plastic packaging. But the real money, the kind of wealth that gets sent back home to families, isn't in fish. It's in the service industry. You would be shocked at the variety of legitimate-sounding businesses operating in the shadows of a maximum security wing. One of the most common is the prison kitchen. While jails provide basic meals, they are often flavorless and small. Inmates with culinary skills and access to a plastic hot water heater or a stinger, a homemade heating element made from a wire and a razor blade, run high-end restaurants. They tax the commissary orders of other inmates to gather ingredients like ramen noodles, shelf-stable summer sausage, and dehydrated beans. They then craft elaborate meals known as spreads and sell them for a profit. A master prison chef can earn hundreds of dollars a month in traded goods or Western Union transfers made by the buyer's family to the chef's family on the outside. Beyond food, there is the legal service industry. Law libraries in prisons are crowded for a reason. Inmates who spend years studying their own cases often become more proficient in certain areas of criminal law than actual attorneys. These jailhouse lawyers offer services ranging from typing up formal grievances to drafting complex appeals. A high-quality appeal can cost thousands of dollars, paid through external accounts. These legal entrepreneurs are often highly respected and protected within the unit because they represent the only hope many people have for a shorter sentence. It is a business built entirely on intellectual property and expertise, operated out of a cell with nothing but a notepad and a borrowed pencil. Now let's talk about the logistics of the store. Every housing unit usually has 1 or 2 inmates who run a convenience shop. They buy out the commissary's most popular items: stamps, coffee, hygiene products, the moment they are stocked. When the commissary runs out, the storeman is the only one with the inventory. They sell at a significant markup, usually 2 for 3, meaning if they lend you 2 bags of coffee today, you owe them 3 bags next week. This is an economy based on credit and interest. If an inmate can't pay back their loan, the storeman doesn't call an insurance company. They have their own ways of handling collections. This highlights the brutal efficiency of prison business. There are no bankruptcy protections in the yard. But how do these entrepreneurs manage the outside part of the business? This is where the modern era has revolutionized prison commerce. The legendary smuggled smartphone is the ultimate game changer. These devices are often smaller than a lighter and are smuggled in through various high-risk methods, sometimes involving drones or compromised staff. Once an inmate has a phone, they have access to Cash App, Venmo, and crypto wallets. They can run businesses that have nothing to do with jail. Some inmates are known to manage real estate portfolios, trade stocks, or even run social media accounts while sitting on their bunks. The phone allows them to bypass the prison's monitored phone system entirely, making the underground part of the business literal. Let's look at the art and craft sector. Prisons are full of people with immense amounts of time and talent. Inmates create intricate portraits using nothing but lead pencils and colored dust from Skittles candy. They sew elaborate bags or wallets out of folded potato chip wrappers. These items are often smuggled out through visiting rooms or mail and sold on the internet as prison art. There is a massive global market for these items, and the profits can be significant. By selling to people on the outside, these inmates are bringing foreign currency into the prison economy, which they then use to buy protection, better food, or better cells. One of the most complex businesses is the information broker system. In a world where you are cut off from the news, information is a high-value commodity. Inmates who work in specific jobs, like the laundry or the kitchen, have more freedom of movement than others. They act as couriers, carrying messages between rival groups or different housing units. They sell information about which guards are lax, which units are about to be searched, or when a new shipment of commissary items is arriving. This business requires a massive undercover network and a high level of trust, which is rare in jail. Being a broker is high profit but high risk. If the wrong person finds out you've been talking, the business closes permanently. Then there is the body shop. No, not for cars. This refers to the fitness and protection industry. Inmates who are particularly disciplined or physically imposing often act as personal trainers for those who have just arrived and are terrified. They charge for training sessions that include defense techniques and muscle building, using water-filled laundry bags as weights. This evolves into the protection business, where an inmate pays rent to a group or an individual to ensure they can walk to the shower without being bothered. It's essentially an insurance company with a very aggressive enforcement wing, but they are strictly forbidden. Running a shop requires building a machine out of a small electric motor from a discarded radio or a beard trimmer, a guitar string or a sharpened staple for a needle, and ink made from the soot of burned plastic or pens. The risks of infection are high, but the demand is even higher. A talented tattoo artist in a high-security facility can be one of the wealthiest inmates in the building. They often have an apprentice who helps hide the equipment during shakedowns and a lookout who watches for guards. This is a classic example of a specialized labor market, with a clear hierarchy and high barriers to entry. The staff connection is perhaps the most controversial and lucrative part of any prison business. For an underground business to scale up, it often requires mules, people who bring items in from the outside. Unfortunately, sometimes this includes dirty staff members. A guard making $30,000 a year might be tempted by an inmate offering them $500 just to bring in a single pack of tobacco or a bottle of luxury shampoo. Once a staff member is compromised, they are often trapped. The inmate business owners then use this leverage to bring in larger and more expensive items, creating a pipeline that is almost impossible for administrators to stop without a total overhaul of the security system. How do inmates handle customer service? In the prison economy, your reputation is your credit score. If you run a store and you shortchange people or sell faulty goods, word spreads through the grapevine instantly. Because the market is so small and contained, bad business practices lead to a total loss of customers, or worse. This creates a strange paradox, where some underground businesses in jail provide better customer service than companies in the free world. If you buy a spread from a chef and it's cold or missing an ingredient, the chef will often give you a free meal next time just to maintain their standing in the unit. It's a pure, unfiltered version of capitalism. There is also the gambling syndicate. From betting on NFL games to playing poker with stamps as chips, gambling is the heartbeat of many prison wings. The bookie is the inmate who organizes the pools and tracks the wins and losses on a kite, a small piece of paper hidden in their shoe. The bookkeeping has to be impeccable. If the bookie makes a mistake, it can lead to massive unrest in the housing unit. These syndicates often have collectors who ensure that losing bettors pay up on commissary day. The house always takes a cut, and that vig makes the bookie incredibly wealthy in the context of the jail economy. The waste management industry in prison is another fascinating niche. In some facilities, things like plastic bottles, specific types of metal from electronics, or even extra blankets are strictly regulated. Inmates have found ways to salvage these items from the trash and repurpose them into tools, weapons, or trade goods. An inmate who controls the trash often has access to raw materials that no one else has. They are the recyclers of the prison world, turning garbage into gold. This shows that no matter how much you strip away from a human, The drive to build, trade, and profit remains. The communication hub is a business that caters to the emotional needs of inmates. Writing letters is a chore for some, so scriptwriters offer their services. For a few stamps or a soda, they will write beautiful, persuasive letters to parole boards, romantic letters to girlfriends, or stern letters to lawyers. They are the professional copywriters of the cell block. They know the exact language that works on the outside, and they leverage that skill to live a much more comfortable life inside. This is a service business that relies purely on literacy and emotional intelligence, proving that the pen really is mightier than the sword, even in a place full of shanks. Let's dive deeper into the tech support world. Believe it or not, there are inmates who specialize in jailbreaking or repairing the tablets that many modern prisons provide for educational use. These tablets are usually heavily restricted, but a tech-savvy inmate can sometimes figure out how to bypass the security to access music, movies, or even hidden messaging apps. They charge a premium for these upgrades. This is the Silicon Valley of the prison system, a group of hackers operating under the noses of the IT security teams. The laundry and tailoring business is also vital. Standard prison uniforms are designed to be one-size-fits-all, which usually means they fit no one. Inmates with sewing skills use smuggled needles and thread to taper uniforms to give them a sharper look. They also offer a private laundry service where they ensure your clothes are washed separately and with better-smelling soap, often stolen from the janitor's closet rather than the communal. Industrial laundry. Looking clean is a sign of status and power, so people are willing to pay a lot for these aesthetic upgrades. One of the most impressive feats is the manufacturing industry. In search of a lighter or a way to boil water, inmates have built complex electrical devices. They create stills for making pruno, prison wine, using fermented fruit, sugar from the kitchen, and bread for yeast. The production of pruno is a large-scale manufacturing operation that requires aging rooms, often a hidden spot in the ceiling or under a floorboard, and a distribution network that avoids detection by the smell of the fermenting fruit. The people who run these distilleries are the bootleggers of the modern era, operating a high-demand, high-risk product line. Now consider the human resources aspect. Large prison businesses need staff. A top-tier storeman might have 2 totes inmates who carry his goods and 3 lookouts who watch the hallways. He pays them in goods or protection. This creates a mini-corporation within the walls. These leaders have to manage egos, solve disputes between employees, and ensure the operation remains under the radar. It is a masterclass in organizational behavior. If an inmate can successfully run a business in a prison, they often have the leadership skills to run a legitimate company on the outside, provided they can pivot those skills. The banking system in prison is equally involved. Since they can't have bank accounts, they use green dot cards or prepaid debit cards. An inmate on the outside buys a card, loads it with cash, and sends the numbers to the inmate on the inside. Those numbers are then spent like cash. The inmate on the inside can send those numbers to someone else to pay a debt. This allows for the movement of thousands of dollars without a single physical bill ever entering the prison. It's a shadow banking system that operates on the honor code and the threat of force. Why do prison administrators struggle to stop these businesses? Sometimes they don't want to. A prison with a functioning economy is often quieter than one without. When inmates have something to lose, their store, their restaurant, or their tattoo kit, they are less likely to cause trouble or start a riot. The underground economy provides a sense of purpose and a way to pass the time. It gives inmates a stake in the stability of the unit. Some wardens realize that as long as the contraband isn't dangerous, the business helps maintain order. It's a delicate balance between enforcement and pragmatism. But let's not romanticize it too much. These businesses can also lead to predatory behavior. Extortion is the dark side of the prison economy. Rent collected for a bunk or a protection fee is just a business based on fear. Inmates who enter the system with no money and no family support are often forced into debt slavery to the storemen or the gangs. They become runners or mules to pay off their debts. This creates a cycle of exploitation that is hard to break. The underground economy mirrors the outside world in both its innovation and its cruelty. The pharmacy is another major sector. While we avoid talking about illegal substances, the legitimate trade in prescription medication is huge. Inmates who are prescribed highly valued medications will often hold the pill in their mouth, cheeking it, and then spit it out later to sell it. This is a massive market for those seeking to numb the reality of their incarceration. The pharmacists who manage this trade have to be extremely careful with their inventory and their distribution, as this is one of the most heavily policed parts of prison life. The religious supply trade is also a thing. Inmates who have access to the chapel often have access to items that aren't available elsewhere, like specific oils or candles. They repurpose these items for secular use or sell them to those who want to practice their faith in private. It sets a niche market, but in the world of jail, every niche is a profit opportunity. If there is a demand for a specific scent or a specific color of thread, someone will find a way to supply it. The education and tutoring business is growing as more inmates want to get their GEDs or college degrees. Literate and educated inmates charge tuition to help others with their coursework or to take tests for them. In a system where a degree can lead to good time credit and earlier release, this is an incredibly high-value service. It is a business that directly trades in the most valuable commodity of all time. How do these businesses handle diversification? A smart prison entrepreneur doesn't just have a store. They might also have a tattoo machine and a legal service. This conglomerate model ensures that if one business is hit by a shakedown, they still have other streams of income. It is the same principle of not putting all your eggs in one basket that we hear on CNBC. These inmates are practicing sophisticated financial planning under the most extreme conditions imaginable. The barbershop is a classic prison business. While there is usually a state-appointed barber, they often do a terrible job. The master barber in the unit uses a sharpened comb or a smuggled set of clippers to give fades and lineups. Looking good is a rare luxury in prison, and people will save up their commissary for weeks to afford a professional haircut. The barber is often a central figure in the social life of the unit, similar to the barbershop culture in free society. We also have to look at market fluctuations. Just like the outside world, the prison economy is subject to supply chain disruptions. If the prison goes on a lockdown, the commissary is closed, and no mail comes in. Suddenly, the price of a Mac or a bag of coffee skyrockets. The storemen who were smart enough to stockpile inventory become the most powerful people in the building. This is a real-world lesson in inventory management. Those who can predict a lockdown and buy low end up selling high when everyone else is desperate. The smuggling routes themselves are a business. Some inmates don't sell products. They sell transportation. They know which drones can bypass the fences, or they know which visitors can sneak items in. They charge a freight fee for anything they bring into the building. This is the logistics and shipping sector of the prison world. Without these transporters, the rest of the economy would grind to a halt. What about conflict resolution? When two businesses clash, say two chefs are competing for the same customers, it can get ugly. However, most experienced businessmen in jail prefer mediation. Violence brings the guards, and the guards bring lockdowns. And lockdowns are bad for business. High-level inmate executives often meet to set prices, divide territories, and ensure that everyone can continue to profit without drawing too much attention. It's a board of directors for the underground economy. The escapism industry is also massive. Beyond movies and music on smuggled phones, there is a market for physical escape through books and magazines. Librarians are inmates who have a large collection of outside media and rent them out by the hour. A popular magazine can be worth its weight in gold if it's current and in good condition. This is a library-as-a-service business model that predates Netflix. We have to talk about the exit strategy. The goal for most of these inmate entrepreneurs is to build enough wealth so that, when they are released, they don't have to return to a life of crime. Some have successfully used their prison profits to start legitimate trucking companies, landscaping businesses, or consulting firms once they get out. They take the startup capital they earned in a 6x9 cell and turn it into a legal enterprise. This is the ultimate success story in the prison business world, although it is much rarer than the stories of those who simply spend their profits on the inside. The underground economy of prison is a mirror of the human spirit. It shows that the desire to work, to trade, to invent, and to improve one's situation is universal. Even in the most restrictive environment on the planet, humans will find a way to create a store, a bank, and a marketplace. It is a world of incredible resourcefulness, where a stinger and a pouch of fish are the tools of a tycoon. As you think about these businesses, it changes how you look at the prison system. It's not just a collection of cells. It's a living, breathing ecosystem with its own rules, its own Wall Street, and its own Silicon Valley. The inmates who run these underground businesses are some of the most focused and adaptable entrepreneurs in the world. They operate with no safety net, under constant surveillance, and with the highest possible stakes. Whether it's the legal brilliance of a jailhouse lawyer, the culinary creativity of a cell block chef, or the complex logistics of a smuggled smartphone empire, the prison business is a testament to the fact that you can lock up a person, but you can't lock up the drive to build something. The underground economy continues to thrive, evolving with every new security measure and every new piece of technology. It is a world hidden in plain sight, a multi-million-dollar economy operating in the heart of the justice system. The next time you hear about a prison shakedown or contraband, remember that it's not just about random items. It's often about seizing the assets of a complex business venture. We are watching a constant game of cat and mouse between the regulators, the guards, and the entrepreneurs, the inmates. And in that game, the entrepreneurs have the ultimate advantage. They have nothing but time to think of their next big idea. The underground prison economy is a fascinating look at pure capitalism. It's a world stripped of its glamour, where value is determined by utility and survival. It's a place where a cigarette, a stamp, or a pouch of mackerel can change the course of a person's life. And it's a world that will continue to exist as long as people are locked behind bars. The inmate-run business is more than just a hustle. It's a vital, complex, and persistent part of the human experience in the most extreme conditions. From the storeman to the tattoo artist, from the legal expert to the broker, the roles in this shadow economy are as varied as those in any city. They have supply chains, interest rates, marketing strategies, and HR departments. It is a complete society operating within the void of the prison system. And while we may never see these businesses on the Fortune 500 inches list, their returns on investment are more real than anything you'll see on a digital screen. In the end, the story of how inmates run underground businesses is a story of resilience. It's about finding a way to have a life and a career even when the world has said you don't deserve one. It's about the unbreakable nature of the human entrepreneurial spirit. Whether we agree with it or not, the prison economy is a masterpiece of ingenuity, a clandestine world that operates every single day, just beyond the thick concrete walls and the razor wire fences. As we finish our deep dive into this hidden economy, it's clear that the business of prison is much more than just serving time. It's about using time. It's about the market finding a way, no matter how hard you try to regulate it. The prison entrepreneurs are always working, always planning, and always looking for the next Mac to earn. It's a world of high stakes, high rewards, and the ultimate test of business savvy. And that, perhaps, is the most surprising discovery of all.